Hello. For this week's discussion, I'm going to talk about option A, Plato, and his allegory of the cave, and relating that to the visible realm and the intelligible realm. So, option A says, Plato is very skeptical about the visible realm. For him, knowledge is always of the intelligible realm. Describe what distinction Plato means to draw when he talks about these two realms. Okay, so in Plato's allegory of the cave, he describes these cave people who are in almost complete darkness, but they have a fire behind them that is casting shadows on the wall. And these shadows are darting back and forth, but the people that are down there in the cave can only face the shadows. So that's all they know to be true. And he relates this to the visible realm, the realm that we're living in now, and compares this misperception of reality by looking at only in front of us is this prison of the cave. And he then describes somebody who's in the cave who gets out and is able to see the light. And he describes this awakening to the sun at first as not being able to be appreciated. But as time goes on and this person is able to start to understand that the cave that he was living in is not at all comparable to the glories of the outside world and the sun, and he says that this person would be pained and dazzled and unable to see those whose shadows he's seen before. Shadows easily. So over time, if he was to go back into this cave, the people there would think he was crazy. But for him, Plato states, what about when he reminds himself of the first dwelling place, his fellow prisoners, and what passed for wisdom there? Don't you think that he'd count himself happy for the change and pity the others? Certainly. But the people that are down there in the cave wouldn't see it like that at all. The people that are down there in the cave still see their reality, their uneducated self, as honorable and powerful. And he talks about these people down in the cave that are able to see, to predict when the shadows are going to come, and how amazing and powerful they think they are, when in reality they're just looking at shadows. They have no idea of the light above the cave. And so he talks about this person going back in the cave and being ridiculed, and said he would rather suffer anything than live like that. As for anyone who tried to free them and lead them upward, if they could somehow get their hands on him, wouldn't they kill him? The people in the cave, wouldn't they say, what are you doing? What are you doing going up there? Look at this. Look at how beautiful our shadows are. So the upward journey and study of things above, as the upward journey of the soul to the is the intelligible realm, and the visible realm should be likened to the prison dwelling. So once one has seen it, however, one must conclude that it is a cause of all that is correct and beautiful in anything, that it produces both light and its source in the visible realm. Good. So let's see, what do we got next? Why do you think he is skeptical of the visible realm? Well, because that's all we know. So, like the people in the cave, that's all they know. And there's nothing else that could possibly be part of their reality. But in this example of the cave, there's an entire world above their darkness. So yeah, I think his skepticism is merited, because we don't know what we don't know. And there are so many details about this world that we just accept as real, but there could be so much more to it. So many intricate little details of the human body in itself. I'm in anatomy right now, just talking about how little tiny molecules are able to be turned on by receptors to pick up other molecules to transport them to parts of the body that keep us alive. That to me is mind-blowing, and people here, we just accept it as, well, that's just the way it is. But there's definitely skepticism there as to like, how does it work and where did it come from, and this knowledge and education in finding that out is like the upward journey to the light from the cave. How does the allegory of the cave illustrate Plato's skepticism about the visible realm? I think I've kind of touched on that. I mean, the skepticism would just be the living outside of the cave. Also, like at the end, he talks about rulers of places now, and how they can be the best version of the power they hold. So I like this last paragraph. I'm going to read an excerpt. It says, "Therefore, each of you in turn must go down to live in the common dwelling place of the others and grow accustomed to seeing the dark. When you are used to it, you'll see vastly better than the people there. And because you've seen the truth, fine, just, and good things, you'll know each image for what it is, and also for that of which is the image. Thus, for you and for us, the city will be governed, not like the majority of cities nowadays, by people who fight over shadows and struggle against one another in order to rule, as if that were the great good, but by people who are awake rather than dreaming. For the truth is surely this: a city whose prospective rulers are at least eager to rule must of necessity be most free from civil war, whereas a city with the opposite kind of rulers is governed in the opposite way." So just like the people in the cave were fighting over like when the shadows were going to come and like what the shadows were going to be holding, it's fighting over meaningless things. So once you are educated and once you know of the reality that is outside of this prison dwelling cave and what's right in front of you, you will be able to better understand what actually holds meaning in this world. Like, do you think that if rulers would see this world being a finite place and this world being and not being a finite place, in this world just being like a temporary little holding cell prison for us, for the vast outside world, would we be fighting over all these like small little like money issues and and the way that people choose to live their life and fighting over how people think? So I think here he's just stating how important it is for people to to think about the possibilities of things existing outside of this life, this reality. Okay. Have a good week.